On a recent Sunday morning, a few blocks from Beijing's financial district, hundreds of Christians gathered to worship God.
20 years ago, we would have never permitted you to film our meeting. But today, China is changing, and the church has to change as well.
Jin Tiangming pastors one of the largest so-called underground churches in Beijing. This is the first time since founding his church 17 years ago that he's opened the service to cameras.
We worship in secret for years. We were spread out across the city, meeting in different people's homes.
Then a couple of years ago, the church decided to come out of hiding. They rented space in a small office building and began meeting together in one location. Liu Gan is an elder in the church.
We brought all the small house churches together in one place, even though it was a huge security risk. But this was an important first step.
Next, they went public.
We felt that God was calling our church to be a city on a hill, a light on the mountaintop. To do this, we had to open up.
Members began openly inviting non-believers to the meetings. The church began to grow. Liu says some 1,000 people regularly attend the weekly service, and often it's standing room only.
In my church, we gathered so many members of Christians. They all have the passion. They want to be a good witness to the society.
Such open proselytizing is still forbidden in China. Technically, this is also an illegal gathering, since the church hasn't registered with the government, nor is it part of any of the state-sanctioned churches. But the authorities have chosen to turn a blind eye.
Today is Communist China's new and global manifesto, militant and menacing.
It's a far cry from the dark days of the Cultural Revolution, when authorities burned churches, temples, and mosques to the ground. Pastors and Christians were routinely arrested and labeled counter-revolutionaries. Today, Chinese government data and international surveys report millions of Chinese people are flocking to religions like Christianity, Buddhism, Taoism, and Islam. But it's Christianity that's experiencing the most dramatic growth. Trying to get precise figures on the number of Christians today in China is extremely difficult, but clearly they are part of mainstream society today. All the more experts say that Christians, especially those who are part of the so-called house church, go public. Recently, Shuang Church did something that would have been unthinkable decades ago. They began holding secret talks with government authorities in Beijing, including with members of the city's security bureau.
In our perspective, we are making progress, and we are having dialogue with them better and better.
But this is a church that has faced its share of challenges. You see, a couple of years ago, they were looking for a new home, in essence, because they were growing so fast. They found a location, they had approached a landlord with a price, and the landlord agreed. They paid the money, but then the authorities began to put pressure on the landlord.
The government didn't want us to move into this new location, so they started harassing the landlord not to sell us the property.
On November 1st, 2009, in the middle of a bitter winter storm and with no suitable place to meet, 500 members of Shuang Church met in an outdoor park to worship and publicly protest the government's pressure.
We wanted the authorities to know that our goal was to meet in one place. We had found a place, and we didn't want to go back to meeting in secret and in small groups. So now we were willing to meet in the open. It was a bold move.
Well, the government wasn't going to let that happen, so instead of rounding them up and throwing them into jail, the authorities asked Shuang's leaders to go back indoors. They agreed, but finding a suitable place to meet on short notice was difficult. In a surprising move, the government stepped in and offered the church space in this building, a theater owned and operated by China's powerful People's Liberation Army. Liu Gang says it was a significant gesture, one that he and many others hope will pave the way for China's house churches to be legally recognized.
That's why we exist.
Mm-hmm. That's why you exist?
Yeah.
That's what you want? That's your ultimate goal?
Yeah.
To be recognized legally?
Yeah.
George Thomas, CBN News, in Beijing, China.